What's up, guys? Welcome to The Movement. My name is O, and I'm joined by some of my best friends in the world, my brothers in life, Cam, JP, and Wilson, and we are the Shepherds of Men. In today's episode, I want to cover mental toughness, what it is, why it's important if you want to create a winning legacy in life, and how to develop it. I've actually been pretty excited to talk about this week because it's extremely lucrative in everyone's job at this table, to be honest with you. I do want to keep this episode a little bit shorter than normal. So we're going to kind of throw you guys, for those of you listening, a curveball today. I want it to be short, I want it to be powerful, and I want it to be very applicable. That's not the word. Not applicable. Applicable.
Applicable.
Yeah, applicable. Apples. I don't know
if you have to say
applicable
it like
to
that.
life.
Applicable.
You can do it.
Straight in your face.
Yeah, straight in your face.
Super
Easy to, I want
professional.
you guys to be able to apply it to your own lives. So again, we're going to talk about what is it, why it's important if you want to win, and how to develop mental toughness. I think we all have our own ways that we've developed our own mental toughness. I do definitely want to cover that towards the end. But to keep things short, we will talk about what it is. So, first off, mental toughness it's essentially everything we've covered in the last 3 episodes, all wrapped up in one, right? Mindset, grit, positive expectations.
Absolutely.
You could take all of that and to shorten down to be mental toughness. A lot of that from it will be. What Wikipedia says, mental toughness is the developed psychological edge that enables you to cope better than your peers with many demands that life brings to the table.
That's fancy.
That's a fancy way to say it. That's right. So people with mental toughness tend to be more consistent and better than their peers. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
They're more determined. They're more focused, confident, in control under pressure. And they're able to change their environment instead of the environment changing them. I think that's huge.
Be the thermostat, not the thermometer.
Yeah, exactly. So what is mental toughness to you guys? Without getting on a tangent. But just like, what is it? I mean, just short, sweet. What is mental toughness to you, not Wikipedia?
I think personally, it's putting yourself into tough situations. So for me, I tend to relate things back to something that I'm very confident with, and that's working out and training. So I believe your mind's a muscle. I believe mental toughness, somebody that actually demonstrates mental toughness is somebody that constantly puts their mind in a position where they have to expand their capacity. So for instance, you put yourself into hard situations. If you're afraid to talk in front of people, if you see an opportunity to do it, you stand up and you talk in front of people. Yeah. Situations where some people are absolutely terrified of that, and you're sitting in a meeting or a reception or whatever it is, you're at a wedding. How many times has somebody been sitting back there going, you know what? I really got something to say. I love that dude. That's my brother right there. I love him, man. As much as I'd love to stand up and clang my knife or my fork against my glass and say something, I'm not going to do it. There's too many people here. I don't want to stand up in front of everybody. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say and stuff like that. I think people that demonstrate mental toughness tend to take those opportunities and take advantage of them. They stand up, they clang their glass, and they go, hey, listen. This is my brother. I love him, whatever the speech may be, but they take the opportunity to speak in front of people because it scares them. So they take advantage of that opportunity to expand their capacity and strengthen their mind. So mental toughness is the same thing as physical toughness in my mind. If I want to go become stronger, if I want to make my bench stronger, I go get under weight. I go get under heavy weight and I do bench presses. If I want my mind to be stronger, I go do things that stretch my mind, whether it's, like we said, speaking in front of people, whether it's reading books, going and doing a sale, talking to a stranger, anything, man, stuff like that. In my opinion, is a good demonstration of mental toughness is people that have stretched the capacity of their mind.
It's getting outside your comfort zone intentionally getting outside your comfort zone. Which, another way of looking at it is stuff that has maybe kicked your butt in the past, like things that have gotten the better of you. And we can all tell stories of times where something's gotten the better of us, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever. And, I think where you can build mental toughness is immediately you go, all right, let's get back in there and let's do this again. I know we've all heard a story about somebody that we respect highly, kind of having an issue out in the ocean, getting taken down with the undertow, and him and his son, he was handicapped, and they survived that, and they got back on the beach, and then the handicapped person who's paralyzed on one side of their body went back out because they were like, that's not going to beat me mentally, right? I'm not going to be I'm not going to be terrified of that or scared of that situation again in the future. And they intentionally create callousing in their mind because they go back into, just like you do with your hands. If you're getting under the bench, you're making your hands tougher, you're making muscles stronger. Same thing with your mind. You intentionally put yourself back in a very uncomfortable situation because you understand that the long-term benefit of that is far outweighs the short-term uncomfortableness of it, if that's a word.
Absolutely. I think that this is Wilson.
Hi, Wilson.
Rising to the challenge. So somebody points you out and says, "Hey, I need you to do this." You're there. You got it. No questions. No prep. You're there. I also think that not caring what other people think. I think a lot of people who don't have mental toughness, they care about what everybody thinks about them, and that's their main focus. And that's not mental toughness at all. Mental toughness is being able to go and, like you said earlier, being the thermostat, and not having to worry about other people, what they think, what they say, what they do, and just being confident, very confident in what you do. When you walk into a room, if it was chaotic, it just is like smooth glass water.
Yeah.
That's what I picture mental toughness. Being able to just handle any adversity head on without any issue.
I think people with mental toughness are like the truest form of it, have a certain energy when they walk into the room, and that's powerful. I like what you said about that. So we covered what it is, right? Why is it important? What we covered in grit and mindset covered a lot of the reasons, to be honest. We talked about really positive expectations too. Not just looking at things negatively. So if you haven't listened to those yet, I highly recommend going back and checking those out for sure. We covered things, really we in those episodes, just to give a little synopsis, we cover things like controlling your emotions, learning from your mistakes and bouncing back from failure, courage to face your fears, conquering self-doubt, staying motivated. All that stuff is in there. So power-packed playlist.
For sure.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Cam, as far as why it's so important, how have you caught yourself flexing your mental muscle while building your business? Well, not only your personal business, but what you do professionally as well.
Yeah. I think in any arena of entrepreneurship or advancing in your career, or advancing as a father or a husband or a leader in your community or any of that kind of stuff, you can't be weak. You can't be mentally weak and expect to advance there. It's just not going to happen. One of the most defining traits of leaders in any of those arenas is mental toughness. So, it goes back to what I was talking about as far as putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. So for business specifically, for me, it is, I spent, truthfully, for me, years developing a comfort zone that was way outside of my original comfort zone, and I shouldn't even say that, because I still don't allow myself to get comfortable in the position. And I'll speak specifically of creating new relationships, creating connections with people. I believe that the world goes around based on relationships, regardless of what kind of business you run, regardless of what kind of outreach you do, what kind of impact you want to have. It is all going to you're going to have a bigger impact in any of those arenas if you have tighter, better, bigger, more relationships, And if you can get good at connecting with people, man, you can change some shit. You really can. For your own personal house, for your city, for your country, whatever. And I think the only way you do that, we've all run into this where people are like, man, they'll see us have a conversation with somebody just out of the blue, and they're blown away by it.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where you're like, I don't understand why you're blown away by it. That's just a conversation with another human.
Yeah.
One thing I will add in there is that I understand my value,
right,
and I also understand their value. And so regardless of what they do or what I do or any of that nonsense, whether socially or, whatever, it would be equal. I know who created them. I know who created me. It's the same person.
Right.
We both were created with the same things inside of us. So whether they might, quote unquote, trump me in life right now, or I quote unquote trump them in life right now, doesn't even factor in. What factors in is that you're a human, I'm a human. We can have a conversation. We can connect. But that's not a normal thing. We train our kids to not talk to strangers, and, we protect them from being an impact player in life.
I think the average do. We don't.
We don't.
Right.
No. Yeah,
the
we don't.
four guys that sit at the table don't.
Society as a whole.
Yeah.
And I think, part of that is because, we have a generation of boys that were raised by women, because dads weren't around, and moms are even more protective. Just naturally they're more protective of, hey, dad's not here, so make sure you're not talking to strangers because dad's not around to protect or whatever. I think that is just a scourge throughout our country right now. So being in a position where you can go out there, and I teach this to my boys, like, we say hello to people intentionally. We make eye contact with people. We shake hands. We make sure we go out of our way to create connections and create relationships. And it's not comfortable. I will tell you, my kids don't always want to do it, but when they're older, they're going to love the fact that I made them do that. Right. And I learned that from watching other people make their kids do it, but that's
sometimes they don't know any better. Right.
They just don't know any better.
Maverick looked at me the other day and he was like, Daddy, do you talk to everybody? Like, no, not everybody, but most everybody. If they're within 5 foot.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm at least saying hi.
But from a mental toughness standpoint, not all of those conversations are smooth. You can imagine some people are having crappy days,
Like,
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, man?
Some people are having crappy lives,
All right, man.
And if you take that crap personal, then you're not going to have a lot of conversations. But if you're mentally tough, then you realize, like, that's not a reflection of me. That's just a reflection. It's probably a reflection of them.
You want a hug?
Yeah. Exactly. That's not my personality. Wilson would go up and hug him. I'm more like, well, be a dick then, and I'll walk over and talk to somebody else.
And be like, that's why you were adopted.
Yeah. Exactly.
I just smile and be like, hey, okay, nice.
And I think too, just to kind of add into that, and we hit on this a lot, is the personal development side. So what you're putting in, if you're going to create a mental toughness of creating connections with quote unquote strangers, with other people, you probably should be reading good stuff. You should probably be listening to good stuff. You probably should be associating with other people that think that way. Those are kind of standards.
Always. And it's just like what Josh said. Their mental muscle is just like your physical muscle. So whatever you're feeding it, which is just like when you're trying to get fit, whatever you're feeding yourself, your body, is how healthy that's going to be. So if you're feeding your brain the right stuff, books, nonfiction books will go with stuff you can learn from, mental mindset stuff. You're feeding your brain the proper materials, and it's going to grow. It's going to get stronger, right? It's the same thing with who you, like you said, books you read, people you hang out with is who you're going to be. Yep. If you've ever wondered how people accomplish what you thought impossible or even extremely difficult, it's going to be because they had the mental toughness to accomplish it. They worked through the adversity, like Josh said. They had the personal, the self-discipline to accomplish. When motivation runs out, discipline takes over. So they had the personal discipline to work through what they needed to, the small voices like we've covered before, to achieve what everyone else thought was impossible. So
always revert back to your lowest level of training, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So and back to that, JP, I know you've done some bodybuilding stuff. What are some times that you remembered your mental toughness helping you accomplish what you did with bodybuilding?
So that's a good scenario as far as an example goes, because dieting, I'm a glutton for pain. So I love going into the gym and working out and stuff and being sore. As a matter of fact, my legs hurt like hell right now. Like, I'm at that stage where
they look fantastic.
You get about like 60 degrees to the toilet, then you just say fuck it and let it go, and you hit the toilet seat.
Why is there water everywhere? It's not piss.
Yeah,
it's splashback.
Yeah, I'm at that point right now. But to your question, and actually, I'm glad that you asked that, because that was actually what I was going to say, kind of to Cameron's answer over there. The flip side of it was the little things. You don't let yourself off the hook when you're mentally tough. You no longer let yourself off the hook. So I had to eat every 2.5 hours, and I was eating an ungodly amount of calories, like way more than any human being should be eating, to the tune of like 7,000 to 10,000 calories, depending on what day it was.
Lord have mercy.
I would work out for 2.5 hours during the day. That was by far the easiest thing I did, was working out. And it was just, I think it's a mental thing for me. I love being in the gym. But the cooking and the eating and the cleaning dishes and the prepping meals, and every 2.5 hours I had to stuff my face with something that tasted like shit. That's where the mental toughness came in.
Seasoning.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, dude. It's amazing how everything that's not good for you tastes amazing. Everything is so good. So for me personally, the biggest thing from the bodybuilding competition, and really being disciplined in that was the discipline aspect of it. I knew for a fact from a mental toughness aspect, I was not going to let myself off the hook. So every 2.5 hours I had to eat. If I didn't eat, I had to call my nutritionist and tell him I missed a meal. It would have been extremely easy for me just to do whatever I wanted to do. Like I'm, I don't need to eat that chicken and that broccoli this meal. I'll just go grab something else. I'll grab a sandwich, throw some mayonnaise on it. Might not have been a big deal. But when you put 20 sandwiches with mayonnaise over the next couple of weeks, now all of a sudden the other guys that are on stage that I smoked when I went up there, they did that. And it shows. What you do in private shows in public. It's just, it's the way that it is. So from a mental toughness aspect, it was the little things. It was not letting myself off the hook. Every 2.5 hours, I had to be disciplined in making sure that I was eating.
And you bring up a good point of the intentionality of it. It's not just being mentally tough enough to do it when it comes up. It's being mentally tough enough to make yourself do it because you know the end result. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's physically or with business or whatever, like, because there's times in the connection piece with other people, like if you understand that in order to have the impact, you got to have more relationships, those aren't going to come if you're at home.
Yep.
So you have to intentionally go out and create that, just like you have to intentionally go, I'm going to eat this, or I'm going to not eat this or whatever, not just I'm going to be tough enough to do what somebody else tells me.
Well, in order for me to hit the level that I needed to hit, there was, so this is the thing, and not to be hokey, but I loved myself and I respected myself enough to not let myself off the hook, if that makes sense. Yep. When I sat down, I was like, I am not eating this dried out piece of sirloin and this nasty microwaved asparagus. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. And then I sat there and looked at it and I'm like, yeah, you are. Because you have enough respect for yourself. When you step on stage, you're going to be the baddest motherfucker on stage. Yep. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's the fact of the matter. It was, if I lost, it was because somebody was better than me, not because I beat me. Right. And that was kind of my mindset. When it comes to mental toughness, that was a big thing for me. If I was going to lose, somebody was the better man that day. I did not want to turn around and go, you know what? I could have done more.
It's not easy staying motivated at all. I mean, we all know that, right? That's what we talked about, discipline coming in. And that's exactly why, to your point, that's exactly why the gym's only packed for the first quarter of the year.
Amen.
People don't stay motivated, and there's no discipline there. So people get tired of feeling uncomfortable. They don't see any changes because they don't fully commit. Because those little voices where you're talking about, I'm not eating that dried out piece of sirloin and that microwave fucking asparagus.
It's awful.
But the people let those tiny voices take over, and they're like, not doing it. Trash. Let me get that Snickers bar, bro. It's, oh my God, it's great. But that's why, again, the gym's only packed for the first quarter of the year. They lose sight of why they begin in the first place, and they let themselves beat themselves. Mm-hmm. They don't think they'll ever achieve what they're looking for. Again, going back to what we talked about before, how did you do that? That's impossible. Because Josh wouldn't let himself beat himself. If someone's going to beat him, it's going to be one bad dude.
Be a better guy.
Moving on in the interest of time, obviously. Wilson, what is a time where you were able to conquer self-doubt and pull out a win?
Oh, wow. So, and just for the record, mental toughness wasn't easy for me. Coming into it, I had to develop that. And I think the easiest way to do that is having someone else to have a different perspective.
Yeah.
So having someone else to what you were talking about with nutritionists with you, and you had someone you were accountable to that would hold you to that standard. And doubt-wise, there's a lot of doubt. Everything that I do has some fine thread of doubt, because if you're like, there's nothing guaranteed. You're always going to go into something with a little bit of a butterfly feeling going, hell, I hope I'm making the right decision.
Yeah.
But the fact is that when you make a decision, you make it the right decision and you see it through to the end. That's the fact. So if you're going to succeed, you have to have that mentality, and that's where mental toughness comes in, because you made a decision in a heightened mode of, like, oh, this is awesome. I'm so excited about doing this. Then week 2, after eating all of these dried out sirloins and asparagus, you go, shit, why did I make that decision?
Right.
But you stuck with it. So with me, with the doubt and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I doubted myself in sales. I remember the first time going into sales, I had to sell something very hard that I didn't believe in. And once I found something that I did believe in, that doubt went away. It was like, because I thought I literally sucked at sales. I literally was trying to sell a product that you wouldn't be able to sell it whatsoever.
Right.
And did the best that I could and learned a lot. But when I found something I could actually get behind, I saw that passion come from underneath. That was like a totally different element that you need in sales.
You were
So
selling
that's what it
shake
does.
weights.
I was going
You
to
were
say
sitting in the
candles.
front door selling shake weights.
I was going to say candles.
Yeah.
You guys want one?
No,
That's an old joke.
it was challenging, but yes,
Hot wax.
Yeah. Candles. It was
Now, let's be honest. Everybody's heard the other episodes. You can sell the shit out of some hot wax.
Yeah, baby.
Especially if it's flavored.
Tennis balls.
Hey, that's something I'm passionate about. What's up?
Tennis balls you could rock.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Oh shit.
He kept chewing them all up before he got up there. Like, this tennis ball's slobbery. Sorry,
I got excited. My bad. I can't keep them in the case.
Stay on focus, guys.
They smell so new.
I hate you guys. But I love you.
We love you, though.
I know you.
Tails wagging the whole time.
So we've talked about what mental toughness is. We've talked about why it's important. I mean, honestly, if you want to win, you need to develop mental toughness. That's in any field. You know, nothing's impossible. You just need to develop the discipline, the mental toughness to get it done. Now let's talk about how to develop it. I'm going to share a couple different ways, and I want you guys to share a couple ways, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I want this to be this is the most important part of the show.
Yep.
Because it's where people are going to apply. Getting up 15 minutes early. When you know your alarm's going to go off, right? Mine's at 6:30 in the morning. Get up 6:15. Boom. That is a win and helps build mental toughness right off the bat. Mm-hmm. Taking a 5-minute cold shower to force yourself to be uncomfortable. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And the first one,
Wait.
5-minute cold shower.
How long?
Don't ask me how cold.
Was it gotta?
How cold?
How cold does it have to be?
Yeah.
What's the temperature?
So to avoid that question, so the how cold is, it needs to take your breath away. And when you're used to it, turn it down some more. You can take your shower and clean yourself in your hot water, then turn it cold. And as soon as it takes your breath away, set the timer 5 minutes.
Should I play the song "Take My Breath Away"
No.
while you're doing the shower? Because I feel like that would make me less tough.
I think that's like a 2.5-minute song, though, so you have to play it twice.
The point is, you should not be asking how cold should it be, how many pages should I read, and stuff like that. Like, let's just Anyways, carry on.
You're exactly right, though. Affirmation, man. Tell yourself you're going to win. Tell yourself you're awesome. Dude, it's not an ego thing. It's a confidence thing. Hear yourself say the things that you need to hear, right? Because what you talked about, the threads of doubt, dude, we're all our hardest critics. Mm-hmm. That's the reality of it, you know? We're all the hardest critics. I had an interview the other day, and I was like, I bombed it.
Yeah.
But I probably did it. You know, I'm just like, man, I bombed it, dude. I missed this. I rattled on, blah, blah. I probably did fine. But that's still there. But I did tell myself today, I'm like, dude, you did fine. Shut up, you know? And that's telling the little voices, right? Shut up, dude. You did fine. You're a freaking stud. Today, we're going to go out there and kill it. And exactly what we did today. So, staying positive. Now, that's easier said than done. It's like telling someone, don't be sad anymore.
Right.
It's not how it works, right? I don't care how strong you are. You can't just be like, just stop being sad. You're good. It's just not how it works. It can start that way, right? But there's definitely a
Listen to the last episode.
do what?
Listen to the last episode.
Yeah, exactly. Positive expectations, right? Begin by speaking with intention and only speaking victory. That's the big one. Speak everything in victory. Confidence, not ego. Replace weak or negative words with words of substance. Dude, that's something I picked up from you early on when we met. Was I'd be like, dude, it's kind of hard, dude. No, it's not hard. It's challenging, right? That's what you meant to say? I'm like, oh, yeah. Right. And I caught myself after so many times of you changing my words for me. I started doing it on my own. And that's been a world difference. And it's something that I've continued to do even with my kids. Dad, it's just too hard. I'm like, no, it's a challenge. We just need to overcome it. That's huge. Changing the way you talk is big time for all that. So what are some things that you guys think outside of those, getting up 15 minutes early, taking a 5-minute cold shower to make yourself uncomfortable, positive affirmations in the morning, and staying positive by changing the way you speak? What are some things you guys could think help people build mental toughness?
Well, I want to say one thing inside those parameters because it's interesting because I don't do this often, but I literally just was sending a text message to somebody about the whole speaking positive. You said it's challenging, it's not hard, it's whatever. And, you know, there's some things going on at the house with some kids are sick and blah, 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 blah. Everybody deals with it. It's just part of life. You know, you roll with it. Circumstances don't determine our future or our day or our attitude or any of that nonsense. But I literally just somebody said, man, you guys can't catch a break. And my response was, yeah, it's been a year full of growth. We were already pretty strong anyways, but after 2019, we're going to be tough as nails. It's a different mentality. Like
right.
That's a mental toughness is probably been one of the most challenging years of my life. Yeah. and I couldn't be more excited about it.
And that's taking it from, and he gave you an easy out to play victim.
Oh, for sure.
And you did not take
And you could be a pussy and go, and could you please feel
right,
sorry for me? And I'm going to post it on social media and get a lot of attention.
Exactly.
And I saw something today, and it said, "Here's what you've been looking for," and it's 2 hands and the word attention.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
It's
I love
funny
it.
because it's
so true. It's so true.
Have you seen the bottle of 500 milligram Grow Set?
I love that.
Grow Set.
I didn't, but
Some people need 2 doses of that.
I'll send it to
Yeah,
you
you should
guys.
take it twice.
That's
That's
outstanding.
Yeah,
I would
so
totally share that.
It's a bottle and just says right on the front, Grow. It looks legit. It says Grow Set. It's amazing.
I think the biggest thing for me, and again, in the interest of time, I'll keep it short, is, what are some practical things to develop mental toughness? I think you need to hang out with mentally tough people.
Yes.
I really do. Because the reason that so many people are weak mentally, and they naturally lend themselves towards that, I want to get some attention on social media, or I want to go to work and I just want to start my day with, oh, this and this and this and this, or how's your day? And then they actually tell you how bad it was or whatever. And all they want is for somebody to go, oh, poor pitiful you, like, stop hanging out with people that will do that. Hang out with people that will, and this is not a self-edifying statement, but hang out with people that will do what I was doing with you when we first met, which was not let you say shit like that. Right? Because then, and the only reason I knew to do that is because somebody did it to me. Right? I started hanging out with people that would go, change your words, change your speech, change the way you think, da-da-da-da-da. Your days aren't any harder than anybody else's. Get over it. Quit being a little pansy and, like, suck it up. And I'd say, I got a 4-year-old on the way here. Listen, some people are going to think, oh, this is so mean. It's not mean. I'm raising a man. Yeah. Right? I'm not raising a boy. I'm raising a man.
Amen.
And he just woke up. We had an hour and whatever drive, and he was sleepy and this uncomfortable and blah, blah. All these people would have said, this is the reason that he's crying. And I'm going, dude, suck it up. I'm driving 80 miles an hour down the interstate, and I'm trying to tell him how to put his seatbelt back on the right way. And I'm like, suck it up. Quit freaking crying. We don't whine about stuff like that.
Let's go.
Right? Yeah. I mean, like, seriously, why? Because, and I wasn't mean. Like, I love the kid, obviously. But the truth is, if he can't not cry about how to put your seatbelt on, like, the world's going to kick his ass.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't raise kids that get their ass kicked by the world.
Right.
So hang out with people that won't let you be a bitch.
I think simply is, if you go to do something, think of it a different perspective. If I go to do this, will I look mentally tough? And if it's anything other than I am mentally tough, I would say don't do it. Just different perspective. Just have a totally different outlook on what you're going through, and always say there's somebody else has it worse than you. So suck it up and do it, and just keep it going.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Have personal checks and balances.
Chickadee check yourself.
Focho. So for me, I personally, and this one hits home. This is why I want to bring this up. Is you got to get over yourself. Like, who cares? Like, you are not that important. People don't care. Like, seriously, get over yourself. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations every single day. But you have to get over yourself first, because the reason people don't put themselves in uncomfortable situations is because they're worried about, oh, what's somebody going to think about me? And the reason I bring that up is because I've dealt with that before. And to Cameron's point with his examples, talking about meeting random people and stuff like that, I had to get to the point where I was like, who the hell cares? Like, if that dude's having a bad day, 10 minutes later, the conversation sucks. Nothing happens out of it. He grunts and we walk away. He's going to forget I exist. Like, he doesn't care. I care more about the situation than he does. So, first of all, get over yourself. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And for me personally, I'm a very big proponent of the whole sweat more in practice, bleed less and more. Yep. Like the whole conversation we talked about. When you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, you should start to get to the point where your goal is where other people's suffering is your new norm.
Yep.
Where people suffer should be your new norm.
I love that.
That's when awesome. You know that you're starting to develop mental toughness. And I don't care what it is, because in the average person, when you start to really develop mental toughness, you start to look at the average person and go, how do you survive without, like, curling up into a little ball and dying? Like, where your mind is at. The same situation you just talked about. That was a great synopsis of what you said about Cam, saying that was a great opportunity for Cam to be a victim. But instead, Cam wasn't the average person in that situation. He decided to rise above it and go, look, dude, I have calloused my mind enough to know that those challenges made me better. Right. They didn't make me more of a bitch. They didn't beat me down. They sharpened my sword, like we talked about with the whetstone in the previous episodes. If you guys haven't listened to the previous episodes, you need to go check them out. Find out what makes you tick. Like, find out where you get fired up, man. There's a dark side to a man, and I'm reading a book right now, Relentless, for the 4th time. That book is amazing.
So
And I actually the section there where he talks about the dark side for a man. Go find your dark side. That doesn't mean you have to be a shithead. That doesn't mean you have to go out and do something stupid. But there's a certain dark side where you really got to find out what makes you tick. Like, because when you truly find your dark side, you'll know, because nothing will fucking bother you when you're in your dark side. There's nothing bothers you, when you're there. So when you do, you'll find out what you want in life. You'll find out that there's things out there that are non-negotiables in your life, and find somebody to emulate. Find who you want to be, find who you want to be known as, and then find somebody that embodies that and see what they do and emulate that person. As far as I'm concerned. That's what I think.
Yeah. In closing, guys, I want to say a few words. So, don't allow your environment to affect you. And I know that seems easier said than done, right? But live in the present and be aware of what you let your mind ingest and accept as truth. Just because others accept weakness as their truth doesn't mean you have to. There is so much on the table. If you are mentally tough and self-disciplined, you can achieve everything that you want. Set your goals, stay tough, be self-disciplined, and go fucking get it. Let's fucking go, dudes. This has been The Movement.